Ladies and gentlemen, moving to a new country might not be all glamorous. These sessions will be your ultimate guide how to move to Cyprus and invest in real estate. Led by the industry expert, Elena Narbuts, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at MARFIELDS Group. Let's not wait any longer. Please give everyone a warm welcome.
Hello everyone, nice to see you all here. I'm Elena Narbuts, VP of Sales and Marketing at MARFIELDS Group. And so welcome to our panel discussion, how to move to Cyprus and invest in real estate. Today we'll explore Cyprus as a prime EU destination for residency through property investment. And so we have a pleasure to speaking with Rosalia Klimova. Rosalia is in-house counsel of Dome Real Estate and has experience in assisting international and local clients in relation to a wide range of real estate matters in Cyprus. We welcome Rosalia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Simas Similidis. Simas is a key member of Paphilia family. For nearly 2 decades, and he's the commercial director, possessing extensive knowledge of investment opportunities in Cyprus and Greece. Welcome, Simas. Andreas Milanos. Andreas is an experienced and practicing lawyer and the founder and managing director of AMG Milanos and Associates law firm based in Limassol.
Thank you.
And Andronikos Antonio. Andronikos is head of sales of the real estate department at Go Guardian. And during his career, he worked in many reputable companies and has an extensive local international experience in sales, business development, and marketing of real estate. So welcome. Our goal today is to provide actionable insights and data, helping investors navigate the process with confidence and learn about legal frameworks and VAT issues. So we will try to give you as much as possible. So let's make the most out of 40 minutes together. The first question I would like to ask you all, what makes Cyprus an attractive destination for real estate investment, especially compared to other EU countries? We will start with the lady.
So apart from the obvious tax benefits that are granted to both legal entities and physical persons that become tax resident in Cyprus, there is a plethora of benefits such as the great medical system, just basically relocating to Cyprus, I think, has a lot of benefits such as the medical healthcare. It's a truly multilingual country, and without knowing any other language, if you know English, you can get by very comfortably. There's so many schools, both English and from different language schools, and obviously the sun, sea, and great people.
Yes, totally agree. And so we can start with the great people because really this is the country, accept everyone, doesn't matter from where you are, and provide us with great opportunities. Andreas, what do you think about it?
Thank you, Elena. Firstly, let me thanks the organizers for the invitation and organizing such a fantastic event. It's an event that we need in Limassol and Cyprus. Before getting into the details, let me share a quick story. They say that a decent home in Cyprus needs to have 2 things. First, sea view, and second, a neighbor that is an expert in property valuation. So if you need an advice, just go to the balcony and grab an advice. So yes, let me go through briefly the sectors or the elements that I believe that Cyprus has to offer to the international investors. Either they prefer to invest or relocate in Cyprus. Firstly, is the strategic location is very important, especially for the investors from the Far East, from the Middle East, from Africa. Easy access to EU markets. The tax regime, yes, tax regime is indeed favorable for investors, especially for the investors that they relocate and they are tax residents in Cyprus. Lifestyle, I believe, also is an element that is very important. It's a safe country, security, high quality of healthcare, of schools, and climate, but I'm not sure that nowadays if this is indisputable or not. Robust legal framework. The legal system in Cyprus is based on the English common law. This is very important for the investors, the security, the strong property rights that the constitution gives to the investors. So it's a security for the investors and for the investments. The incentives that the government gives to the investors, the residency programs that we will speak in a while, also the support to specific industries like IT, R&D is very important. And yes, the high returns that we've seen in the recent years in the rental and also in the capital appreciation. I believe all this is fundamental and very important to the international investors.
According to your intro, there is no better place in the world than Cyprus.
I believe that this is something that is not something that we as locals we feel, but a lot of friends, clients from abroad that they live in Cyprus, they feel the same. And yes, we're proud about this. Thank you.
Simos, please share your thoughts.
Welcome, everyone. Also, I would like to thank you for joining us this afternoon, and I hope everyone will take away something from today's discussion. Not to repeat on what my fellow panelists have said, just to add a couple of points. Cyprus, even though we are a tiny speck in the Mediterranean Sea, as a country, we are the 5th safest small country in the world. We exhibit continuously high growth in our economy, and we outperform the European Union average, far ahead much bigger economies like Germany and France. And also, year after year, even during the COVID period, our inflation was better than the European Union average, unemployment as well. But one of the major reasons, I would say, is the fact that Cyprus is a melting pot of cultures and philosophies. And even if you take a look at who's sitting around you, you will see that there's people from all over the world here. And what Cyprus has, and it's very difficult to find in any other country, is that feeling of belonging here. You could be from Germany, you could be from Russia, you could be from Ukraine. Cyprus has this tendency to make you feel local. And I believe it's something that even if you live 20 years in London and you are not from London, you will always feel a foreigner there. Here, you have this advantage.
Yes, that's true. In terms of the assimilation, this is, I think, #1 country in the world. Andronicus, please.
My fellow panelists, I think they covered almost everything. Just to say a few words as well from myself. Adding to, of course, what Simos mentioned before, apart from Cyprus being an extremely friendly country, I would say we are a very safe place for someone to move in, having the family here, raise a family and children. And I think most of you probably are already experiencing this. The fact that Cyprus has always been a multi-ethnic, multinational, I would say, and multi-religious country, and being friendly towards its direction makes people, as Simos mentioned before, to feel like home, to feel like belonging to this place. And from our experience and meeting with so many people from all over the world, is something which I can emphasize once more. I just wanted to also add that despite the fact that Cyprus is a small place, I think you have all experienced the recent development that has been taking place in terms of infrastructure. I mean, modern highways, good telecommunications, connections with Europe, with Africa, with Middle East, and this is increasing day by day. I recall back in the 1990s, 1980s, it was always Cyprus Airways flying from Cyprus to some other destinations. So now I don't recall how many of these airlines flying from all over the world here. And every time we look at what is happening around us, we see new destinations added. So you have now, looking at the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, which was never before traveling from Saudi Arabia to Cyprus. You have Kuwait. Looking into Europe, we have new destinations now like France, like Poland, like Germany, which never existed before. So adding all this together, though we're a tiny, small island in the middle of the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, we feel like a big country, I would say, with all these easy connections. Lastly, I would like also to add the fact that Cyprus is a very attractive destination in terms of doing business. I think we have all experienced this happening all this time that we've been dealing with, especially with real estate. I think the headquartering, for example, tax incentives has made a big difference. Cyprus having the lowest tax rate, one of the lowest tax rates, corporate tax rates in Europe at 12.5%, compared to Germany, for example, 29.5%, France the same, Spain and Portugal at 25%. I think this makes a huge difference in terms of doing business here. The non-dom also incentive, especially for high net worth individuals. I think you're all familiar most probably with that, especially high net worth individuals spending only 60 days if they choose that specific, let's say that specific direction. Then they have all their income coming from abroad, whether it's dividends, personal income, rentals, or anything else that is tax-free. So adding all these, I think, benefits together make Cyprus a very attractive destination to make a business. And I think we have also experienced, unfortunately, of what happened a couple of years ago with the war in Ukraine. Cyprus again became a place where people could move safely, and this worked quite well for everyone, especially for the country, but also for the people who managed to move here to feel home, but also to exploit the benefits that were available, let's say, through this system and through these policies that the government introduced in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. So all in all, I think Cyprus is a great place to be. And especially if I look at myself, for example, that I've been traveling all over the world, meeting with so many peoples. As the time goes by, I feel that being in Cyprus is the best place to have your family raised, feeling comfortable, having your children playing around, and of course doing business and being in such a friendly environment. Thank you.
And really, Cyprus currently has the healthiest catalyst of real estate market as well. So coming back to the real estate, can you provide an overview of the current real estate market trends in Cyprus? Simos, please.
Yes, with pleasure. Even though you open any magazine, any newspaper, any social media platform, and you are bound to be exposed to the latest trends in Cyprus. And everybody's an expert about the various trends.
But not only in Cyprus, this is the worldwide
yes,
trend.
Yes, that is true. But what is a trend? A trend is basically the record of the buying habit of people. Okay, that's all it is. Recording the buying habit of a group of people regarding a specific industry or a product. And basically, why people buy? They buy either to satisfy a current need, something that they need and they want right now, or because of external motivation factors like fear about something, aspiration about something, properties will go up, so I'm going to buy. Something bad will happen, so I might as well relocate. So this is all what a trend is. What's really funny and strange and exciting at the same time is that in Cyprus, although we are a little tiny country with cities not separated by more than 40 minutes away, each city has its own trends. and its own realities. So generalizing about the trends in Cyprus is a bit misleading, and I will give you some examples so that you can understand exactly what I mean. Limassol, first of all, the real estate market, the residential sector, in 2023 had 15,000 transactions, units, of a total value of around 3.9 billion euro, okay? And these 3.9 billion euro distributed throughout Cyprus, with Limassol being number 1, and Paphos being number 2, and the various other cities following. However, if you look into the distribution of properties within each city, you will see some strange or not so strange to some figures. Limassol is number 1 in apartments. Paphos is number 1 in sales of houses. Foreigners, although the total 3.9 billion euro consisted of both local and foreigners transacting in Cyprus. Again, if you see the distribution in the various cities, you will see that Nicosia has almost no foreign market investment, and Limassol and Paphos have the majority. Limassol has the majority in third country nationals, whereas Paphos has the overwhelming majority of Europeans. So again, in a closed ecosystem like Cyprus, no matter what you look, it's very difficult to reach a conclusion. And that is why it's very important to study, to have an educated opinion about what to invest and where. Also, comparing the latest results for the first quarter of 2024, you can see that Limassol transactions went down chut-chut, whereas Paphos transactions went up. Larnaca also increased, and Nicosia remained the same. Is this a trend? I don't think so. Everything must be taken always with a grain of salt. And the correct thing to do is to analyze what is pushing people to invest in these various cities. And why, for example, ask questions. Why are more houses being sold in Paphos than in Limassol? Is it because the developers build better houses in Paphos? No, it's because people can buy a house in Paphos for the same price that they can buy an apartment in Limassol. So trends are always affected by a variety of reasons. And what I can tell you right now is that Paphos, Larnaca, Limassol, they're all amazing cities to invest in. It's just a matter of deciding what it is that you want. And Paphos is more appealing to Europeans because of its education standards and the value for money that they can get. Limassol is, we all know it's the more cosmopolitan city of the island, and it attracts a different type of clientele due to its shipping economy, high-tech companies, and so on. The one major trend, though, that I would like to spend a couple of minutes to go through is the Europeans. Why are Europeans buying in Cyprus? Europeans are buying in Cyprus not because they're afraid something bad is going to happen in Europe, but because they are trying desperately to escape the long arm of taxation. And Cyprus, as my colleagues here mentioned, is one of the best tax destinations you can go to. And a lot of Europeans are taking advantage of all this. And furthermore, the government, with various incentives and policies, they are trying to make Cyprus a very strong destination for tax investors. I will not expand more because we have a question later on in going into more detail, the tax benefits and the advantages. But in general, yes, each city has its own microeconomy, its own market-driven factors, and I'll be very happy to share this information and what makes each city tick and where demand and supply lies.
Thank you very much. Andronicos, you want to add something?
Yeah, definitely. Just adding to all this information Simos provided with respect to the trends or the definition of trends, which, as he has correctly mentioned about this, if you look at Cyprus, it's like you're in a different place. If you're in Limassol and then you move to Paphos or to Larnaca, this is absolutely right, and this is what is exactly happening. However, I would like to give you a little bit more information about looking at the real estate trends in a more macro, I would call it, approach, or a more macro look of what has been happening in the last couple of years. First of all, as Simons mentioned, real estate sales in 2023 were about 15,000, and that was a record year for the real estate market in Cyprus, giving about a growth in real estate sales compared to 2022, more than 60%, and 87% from 2021. Of course, don't forget that we were coming out of the COVID pandemic, and that, of course, had a huge impact. But we should not forget also that positive impact came mainly, unfortunately, from the war in Ukraine, which what happened there pushed a lot of people, as I mentioned before, to move to Cyprus. So that was quite, let's say, a positive situation of which was created in Cyprus, as well as the Israeli market. I'm sure there are a lot of Israeli nationals probably in this forum here now and listening to what we are saying. We have also seen this trend created especially from the Israeli market, showing trust in Cyprus, start moving here, investing, and also inviting a lot of investors to invest more. So that, I would say, with respect to the macro trends that have been created in relation to the real estate market. But then if we look at each sector of the real estate market a little bit more closer, we will see, first of all, that the trend in prices continue to grow positively, especially in residential, which of course was the highest demand in 2022 and then moving to 2023. And that pushed a lot of demand for plots, especially in city centers, where all developers were looking, and they're looking for the development of buildings where they can accommodate as many people as possible. As we were moving into this situation, of course, if you look at Limassol prices now, everybody says, oh my God, where do we live? I mean, it's impossible. Are we in London? Are we in Paris? And unfortunately, this increase in demand pushed prices to a very high level, and that created a new trend. And the new trend is the development of what we call affordable living. And affordable living means of looking into the development of more, I would say, organized projects in the outskirts of the main cities, especially Limassol and Larnaca. So as Gortian we are, because a big chunk of our portfolio is land, we get a lot of demand coming for these kind of projects, i.e. there are a lot of requests for land, for example, for 50, 100,000 square meters in Aia Fila, for example, in Limassol, or in Erimi area, or in Larnaca, in different places around the city. So that has created a trend of the development of what we call affordable living. Another trend that we have been experiencing, and again, this has to do with headquartering developments, the tax incentives of Cyprus, which pushed a lot of international companies moving here. We see again a lot of demand coming for the development of commercial projects. And that again, a lot of requests coming to us from developers, from other investors for commercial land around the highways, close to the roundabouts of Limassol or Larnaca, but also in the city centers, where they're looking to develop more than 20,000 square meters of usable area so that they can provide luxury office space as well as retail combination, because as you may appreciate, these things go hand in hand. So retail as well as offices are two very important sectors that we see developing within the real estate, I would say, environment at the moment in Cyprus. And thirdly, surprisingly enough, we all know that tourism in Cyprus bounced back, especially in the last couple of years, where we had more than 3.5 million tourists coming in 2023 to Cyprus versus I think 3 million tourists which they came in 2022. That again, combined to what Simos mentioned, has created more demand for holiday homes, especially in the cities of Limassol, Larnaca, and Paphos. So we see more and more people looking for holiday destinations, i.e. buying these kind of properties, i.e. holiday homes. But also what we see is a positive trend in demand for hotels. And as part of our portfolio as Gordian, we do have a number of hotels at the moment which are available for sale. And we do see a lot of interest coming both from the local market, but also from the overseas market, looking even to buy hotels. And thirdly, there is also a demand for the development of holiday apartments, which are more, again, affordable in different destinations. So adding all together and looking at the macro level of what is happening in the real estate market, we see these trends being created in the last couple of years.
Thank you, Andronikos. I see that time really flies, so we'll try to move faster. Since also one of the trends is the current program of permanent residence acquisition through the property investment. Rosalia, please, what are the key steps and timeline for obtaining residency in Cyprus through property investment? And what are the benefits?
Yes, so with regards to the timeline, I would say it's really important to have a lawyer guide you through the process, because the transaction will be built and tailored to the immigration application. So there's a new requirement as of last year that the seller has to receive the 300,000 in his account before the applicant has the right to submit an application. So this is kind of like a conflicting interest, because if you look into new buildings under construction, you want to time the payment gradually in accordance with the stage of construction. So there's two conflicting interests, and I think it's very important to be able to time it so that the investor gets to apply ASAP, but at the same time his security is not in liability. So there's different kind of solutions to that, either to find someone who is an expert in the market, who can suggest a developer who has great experience, who is financially stable, and a good reputation where you can take the risk of making the full payment. Or with, again, an immigration specialist, you can time it so that you can apply for temporary permit while you're waiting for the right to submit for the permanent. As it's an important thing to understand is that once you submit the application for the permanent residency, you don't have the right to be in Cyprus. Whereas if you submit for the temporary and you submit both of the applications, you have the right to be in Cyprus and enjoy your life here. Another important consideration is that the funds have to come from abroad. So again, if you don't have the consultation of an experienced lawyer, you look at the requirement and you think, okay, I do not qualify. Whereas there are ways to mitigate certain things with just structuring the transaction correctly. So what I would say in terms of timeline, experienced lawyer.
Thank you very much. Andreas, I want to ask you, are there any common mistakes to avoid during the residence application process?
Firstly, I would like to start with what Rosalia mentioned regarding the funds. It's very important the funds to be documented and traced that they came from abroad. So this is the number one factor that you have to secure, and you have to fulfill all the obligations of the legislations. Secondly, is the secured annual income. With the new legislation, you have to be able to secure and to justify that you have a secured annual income, either through the tax return. We've seen that there are countries that you are not obliged to file a tax return, so you have to proceed with an independent accountant. The way that you will complete the application is very important, so to avoid mistakes that will lead to the rejection of the application. Also, it's important to understand the criteria, to understand what are the obligations, to understand exactly the framework of the legislation. So you have to discuss with your advisor in detail to understand exactly what are you doing and what are the post application requirements, because it's very important after you have your permit also to fulfill the obligations, to submit every year the required documents, the required information in order to be able to maintain the permit.
I think really the role of the proper advisor is one of the main here, so you to be guided properly. Simas, important question for you. What are the primary tax implications for foreign real estate investments in Cyprus? We don't have much time, but I think it's important to highlight the main.
Okay. Unfortunately, it's a huge subject, and we are running out of time.
When you are in the elevator and you need to make self-made presentation, 10 seconds.
Okay. There's two types of investors in Cyprus, okay? You have the tax residents, and who is a tax resident? It's someone who lives a minimum of 60 days in Cyprus, has economic activity in Cyprus, and is a resident of Cyprus, either through the acquisition of property or by renting. So these two different groups of investors, they have unique advantages. The best thing to do is to go to a good accountant, a good tax specialist, and they can find the best tax planning solution for you. And Cyprus, as a country, aims to be this pioneer in becoming a tax destination. The government, through an incentive called Vision 2035, has announced a lot of initiatives aimed about the shipping industry, pharmaceuticals, R&D, even real estate. And they're giving a lot of incentives and benefits to people to relocate to Cyprus, to invest in Cyprus. And this includes a variety of industries and measures. And the ability that you can become a tax resident in Cyprus with only 60 days living here and open yourself up to this amazing tax structuring system, it's an unbelievable opportunity. And this is one of Cyprus's best kept secrets. And us as professionals in this industry, our aim is to make it more known, because this is one of the major trends that is waiting to happen. And that is why a lot of the Europeans are investing in Cyprus. Now, if you are not part of the tax resident group of investors and you are just a person living in Germany wanting to buy a property for an investment, again, Cyprus is an ideal destination for you, because first of all, there is no tax on owning a property. Most of Europeans, they have property-related taxes. There is no inheritance tax. You only have the VAT, but even VAT can be mitigated by, and this is a new trend, as also Andronikos mentioned earlier. There are a lot of people, and for the first time in the history of Cyprus, and I've been 25 years in this industry, that returns make sense. You know, returns make sense. You can get the average return in Cyprus right now, on average, is around 4%, 5%, depending on the asset group. So price makes sense comparing with the returns. So this has created a lot of demand for properties for renting out. And another minor trend that, again, it's not very well known, when investing in a resort, and the resort has a resort license, investors can claim back with lump sum return of the whole 19%. And again, this is something that a lot of people are not aware. If you buy in a hotel, if you buy in a golf resort that has a property management service, that 19% can be returned and will be returned a year after delivery. Many tax benefits. And one of the best things about the Cyprus economy is the fact that it's based on the English common law. So it's very pro-business, it's very transparent, and as I said, the government wants to make Cyprus a business destination, an amazing place to live and work and have investments.
Thank you, Simos. I want briefly to ask Andreas, Andreas, very briefly, if you can highlight any changes in the legal process of acquisition property in Cyprus. Any new changes or everything, any new amendments or everything stay the same?
Okay, I think we have almost...
And then we will go with the last.
4 minutes. So if you give me 1 minute, I will go through very briefly the steps.
News, we want some news, if any, regarding amendments.
Regarding the
recent changes in the law, if any.
There are no any substantial changes apart from the way that you deposit the land, the sale agreement, and a search from the land register that you have to have with you, and in order to be aware of the mortgages and memos. But apart from this, I would like to say that this is a very important procedure that an investor needed to get professional advice in order to avoid surprises. And surprises can be everywhere. As they say, the devil is always in the details. So you have to be very, very careful from the early stage of the due diligence until the day that you will transfer the title to the investor. So yes, the most important here is to have a professional, to retain a lawyer in order to go through all the procedure and secure your interest. This is the most important.
Zil. And since we have an expert on the panel discussion, so any questions you can ask later, with great pleasure we will answer on all the questions. We discussed that the market shows strength, and generally I think it's important to create Cyprus as the worldwide trend. That's what we all try to do, all the key members on the market, government, we all do our best. What are the future prospects, as the last question, for the real estate market in Cyprus? Rosalia, let's start from you as the lady, and just your personal opinion.
My personal opinion is that this is the best time to buy in Cyprus because it's still the old legislation on the reduced VAT is still of applicability. So I think it's the next couple of years until the new applications have to be submitted with the old rules are applicable. I think this is the best time and the most cost-efficient time to purchase property in Cyprus, especially newly constructed. I think in a couple of years it will make much more sense to buy resale and to have the reduced rate of the transfer fee, which is lower than the VAT. So I think this is the best time to purchase.
Andronicus, what do you think?
Yeah, I think what I have to say here is that we're talking about a resilient real estate situation, which is okay. I'm a Cypriot also, and I'm very skeptical about it. And there are so many paradoxes happening at the moment. Whereas in the last 3 years we have been experiencing a rapid increase in real estate, in interest rates, non-stop. Whereas logic and economics and financial says when interest rates go up, real estate goes down. And in this country the opposite has been happening. And that gives, I think, a strong message to everyone that real estate in Cyprus seems to be so resilient, and this is also obvious in terms of sales in the last 6 months, which if we compare it to the same period last year, there was just a marginal decrease of about less than 1%. So that is a message that it goes out. And also, if you look at prices 5 years ago, everybody was saying, hey, don't buy property now because prices most probably will drop. So year on year, we've been experiencing an increase in prices, and this seems to continue. So yeah, I think the trends in real estate will continue to be positive. So people who are interested to buy property, I think they should buy property now. It's a good time probably because, as I said, I don't see a negative trend to be created soon. Possibly we might experience a small correction. Yes, this is natural. This is something which is happening everywhere. But nobody in the market expects that this will be something significant. So, I mean, in conclusion, I would say that definitely it's a good time to buy property. But just to add on that, all this will be fueled also from the all infrastructure developments that have been taking place in Cyprus. Look around you, for example, see the Limassol Marina that's been operating for the last 10 years. We have the Ianaba Marina that is fully operational as well. The Larnaca Marina, though there was a drawback in the last couple of months, I'm pretty sure and confident that it will rebound very, very soon. So this is something which we have to take into account. And even in smaller areas in Cyprus, like in Paralimni, there is a marina taking place. But I will take you a little bit outside of the city centers. Look up to Troodos Mountains. I mean, what you will experience there is some amazing projects taking place. I'm not here to advertise anybody, but I mean, look at BBF, for example. They bought Berengaria Hotel from Gortian Holdings 3 years ago, and now they're in the process of developing something which was not there for the last 50 years. So these are very important positive trends which are created in our market, not only in the city centers, as I said, but even in places like the Troodos Mountains. So adding all this together, I think there is no one here to say there will be a negative trend to be created in the next year or 2 years in Cyprus. I think all the indications are positive, so I think this is my conclusion about real estate.
Thank you, Simos. You want to add?
Yes, just to add, I'm very optimistic about the future. And in relation to a discussion that was taking place in the morning about whether there is a bubble or not in the Cyprus real estate market. And in reality, we have a big sleeping giant, which is called European Union. And Europeans are not yet investing in Cyprus to the level that they want or they can. And one of the major reasons behind this is because Europeans are not accustomed to buying property with the money that they have hidden under their mattress. You know, usually they go and they get a loan and they leverage their investment and they purchase taking loans. Now, if I tell you that in 2023, out of the total 15,000 residential transactions that took place in Cyprus, less than 1,500 mortgages were granted by all the banking institutions of our glorious island. Would you believe me? And that is the truth. Most of the real estate action is taking place through investors' own funds. Very little is being given from the banks. So this is keeping the market in relative easiness. It's not inflated by the least. We will experience inflation and hopefully not a bubble when banks start lending money again and we see a big part of the real estate transactions becoming mortgage-backed up investments. In most European countries, 70 to 80% of real estate transactions are backed up by loans. In Cyprus, it's less than 5%. So there is still a huge opportunity for growth with the European market. in conjunction with the tax benefits and everything else that we've mentioned earlier. So yes, definitely, now it's a good time to buy.
Thank you very much for a very positive session, for all your professional insights. Thank you very much for attending us today. And we're at your disposal for any further questions you have.